Wall is set for exportation of parboiled rice from Nigeria to West Africa.
All Progressives Congress inaugurates Presidential Election Support Committee.
Nigerian Television Authority hosts political parties in the country.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, our focus is on Nigeria's foreign policy and national security, plus Federal Capital Territory security situation.
Now, the current growth rate in a lot of urban African cities, like that of Abuja, has we have Lagos, you have Abuja, and other African, countries. The capital of such cities also too has become a source of concern to a lot of people.
There's no doubt about that, Rhoda. I mean, anybody who came into Abuja, say 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, will today have noticed the rising population of the Federal Capital Territory, in particular the city itself, considering that there are 6 area councils in Abuja.
Sometimes when I close from work, when I see the number of people, closing from work, going back to the day, I begin to ask, do all these people live in Abuja?
Absolutely, and you also find that in vehicular traffic, as well as the gridlock you experience on some of the routes that are very well known, such as the MNK, that's the Mararaba, Yanya, and Karo axis, as well as the Kubwa Expressway, and then of course along the airport road that's going towards Lugbe and some of the other suburbs closer to the airport.
And if you look at it, it has a lot of consequences. The population growth rate, it has a lot of consequences on the basic amenities that you have already. It's telling.
Absolutely, that's one. That's pressure on infrastructure. But much more significantly for us this morning, our focus has to do with the security situation in the Federal Capital Territory.
And, when we talk about the security situation in the Federal Capital Territory, I tell you, I know that 5-10 years ago, for some of us who've been in the city for that long, Abuja used to be one place you'd love to drive around at night. It's calm, it's beautiful, the security situation is nice. But as we speak today, there's a trend that is growing, and, everybody's becoming worried about it.
Absolutely, and that trend, of course, has to do with the rise also in what the security agencies themselves have identified as black spots, particularly in Abuja city itself. You have,
we're talking about car theft. The order of the day now is one chance.
That's right.
You have people.
You have robbery, burglary, muggings, and several other forms of crimes that take place in the Federal Capital Territory.
And just as you said earlier, there are flashpoints. Right. I know that there are some areas, as we begin to go into the program much later, that once it's 7 or 7:30, you don't want to drive past there.
Absolutely. So those are the issues with regard to the security situation in Abuja. What is it that the agencies are doing with regard to this? There are emergency numbers. How well are those emergency numbers working, and how well are the authorities also responding to the crime wave in the Federal Capital Territory?
Well, we have a panel of security experts and the FCT Police Commissioner joining us to talk on the FCT security infrastructure. We will also look at Nigeria's foreign policy and national development. That's Nigeria's relations with her immediate neighbors as it has evolved over time. This evolution, though positive, has given rise to a host of security issues requiring better national awareness. Some foreign experts will also join us much later to speak to these issues. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria. We're reaching you live on Africa's largest television network, the Nigerian Television Authority. And I'm Rhoda Anonam.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join Rhoda in also welcoming you to this edition of the program, and in the course of which we shall have our regular companion segments, including newspaper review, business pulse, foreign, and others. But first, let's take the news highlights with our colleague Musbah Udan Wahab. Hi, Musbah.
Hello, Kingsley. Good morning. Welcome to the news. Thailand representatives have confirmed that rice export from their country into Nigeria has dropped drastically in the last 3 years. To this end, Thailand business groups are set to key into Nigeria's rice revolution through investments in the initiatives. This is coming as Nigeria is to commence export of parboiled rice to other West African countries.
Importation of rice into the country, and our intention is in the next 6-7 months, we will start exporting this rice to our neighboring African countries. Very good. And that is why we are happy to receive you, because you are expert in this direction.
So they have 60-70 years of understanding of developed, how to do the rice mill, their drawbacks, their process and all those things. So we need to learn from them in a joint collaborations and understand, and then implement that in a Nigerian context, in Nigerian style.
The much-awaited expansion or industrialization of Abuja-Lafia Road has been flagged up with high expectations of stimulating economic growth and ensuring smooth connection within and beyond the axis. The news of a multi-billion naira contract, which also extends to Lafia, was received with joy by communities along the routes. It is expected to be completed in 3 years.
There is already a phase 2 that we have started that links this road all the way to Gombe through Jos and Bauchi.
Government and people of Nassau State will cooperate with the Ministry of Works and also the contractors in saying that this project is executed without any hitches.
In politics, the Presidential Support Committee of the candidates of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has been inaugurated in Abuja with a call for all hands to continue to be on deck towards the re-election of President Muhammad Buhari in 2019.
The emergence of President Muhammad Buhari in 2015 was a watershed event and a welcome development.
It's because of his reputation that we all line up behind him.
This is the side that President Muhammad Buhari's government has taken.
Niger Delta is strongly behind Buhari.
As part of its public service role of entrenching democratic values for national development, the Nigerian Television Authority (NTA) has held a meeting with political parties for a better understanding of responsibilities and participation in 2019 elections.
An organ like ours is expected to be fair, and that is what we stand to see that happens in these coming elections.
Enlighten on various platforms, that are there for political parties to explore freely.
It's only NTA that gives political parties free coverage.
I am happy with this event organized by NTA.
In the meantime, religious leaders are unanimous in their consultation towards a credible, free and fair 2019 general elections in Nigeria. The event held at the International Center for Interfaith Peace and Harmony Consultation in Abuja had religious leaders from across the country pushing for peaceful conduct by political actors.
On behalf of His Eminence, pray Almighty Allah continue to guide us and give us the strength and wisdom to discuss very, very crucial and important issues that will bring about peace and coexistence among the very, very important two religions in this country.
A call like this to an interfaith discussion with reference to the forthcoming 2019 elections is no small call. It's a call that is given because there is great recognition of the place of religious leaders in the furtherance of peace in this country.
And away from electoral matters, controversy has continued to trail the recent book launch of former President Goodluck Jonathan. The presidency, in a statement, described as untrue the claim by the former president that there is more corruption now in the country compared to when he was in the office. The Senate has resolved to investigate the circumstances that led to the recent killing of soldiers in military camp in Maiduguri, Borno State. Subsequently, the Senate cut short Thursday's plenary in honor of the slain soldiers.
The souls of these soldiers is dear to the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, more so when they died in active service. Nobody cares what happens to their families when they die. And it's our responsibility as a parliament to ask the correct questions. What type of equipment, weapons do they have? How are they protected?
I pray that their families will be able to find succor in the fact that they have died for all of us.
A prayer that the Senate should visit our soldiers at the war front. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
And that's the news for now. Good morning, Nigeria. We'll continue after this break with Rhoda and Kinsley. Good morning.
Unemployment, notably youth unemployment, features strongly in our party's manifesto. We intend to attack the problem frontally through revival of agriculture.
Is going a long way. Actually, I bought an acre of land for 60K like 2012, and presently I have a cassava farm and a yam farm.
Reorganized, trained, and fully equipped, we are the new improved Nigeria Police Force. We fight crime, we bust syndicates. Whatever the crime, wherever the hideout, the Nigeria Police Force will get you busted. Stop kidnapping, armed robbery, murder, pipeline vandalism, and other criminal activities. Be productive. Be security conscious. Join the police force to secure your life and property. This message is from the Nigeria Police Force Public Relations Department.
What's up?
His friends didn't come.
Hey, let's practice.
But you're going out.
Don't worry about me.
Nothing satisfies a mother more than seeing a child grow up. But I know as he sweats, he'll face the risk of germs which can cause skin irritation.
That's why you need the new best ever Dettol Cool. Its new advanced formulation with extra menthol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs and gives your family icy cool freshness.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
The National Council for Arts and Culture, Nigeria, cordially invites you to the closing ceremony of 11th International Arts and Crafts Expo, Abuja, INAC 2018, and the launching of International Cultural Diplomacy for Peace. Date, Saturday, 24th November 2018. Venue, FCT Exhibition Pavilion, beside International Conference Center, Abuja. Time, 5 p.m. Chairman of the occasion, Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu, Honorable Minister of Science and Technology. Special guest of honor, Mr. Tony Akiotu, CEO and GMD, Dar Communications. Royal Father of the Day, Alhaji Ismaila Muhammad, Serki Karshi, Mother of the Day, Dr. Mrs. Gloria Laraba Shuda, National President, National Council for Women Societies. Chief Host, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, Honorable Minister of Information, Culture and Tourism. Host and Announcer, Otumba Olusegun Rushewe, Director General, National Council for Arts and Culture.
Who am I? I'm a caregiver, a slayer, a boss lady, a foodie. I am the chief quality inspector and chief organizer. And when I'm cooking with my Maggie Star, I become a kitchen grand master.
Every day, you choose to make the difference. That's why you choose Maggie Star, made from natural soya beans and the other carefully selected ingredients to help you cook the difference.
I am the chief enjoyment officer, and I'm the magnet that brings my family together. Need I say more? But best of all, I love what I do.
With Maggie, cook the difference.
You in the air-conditioned office with the itchy throat. Strepsils. Girl in the spotlight with the raspy throat. Strepsils. You in the pollution. Yes, you. Dry throat. Strepsils. Hello in the downpour with the scratchy throat. Take Strepsils. Strepsils, with its soothing medicinal ingredients, will heal the harm done to your throat from external factors. Strepsils. Strepsils. Strepsils, for a dry, itchy, raspy, scratchy throat.
Team huddle. But we lost. Don't be tired, guys. This isn't a loss. It's a practice for winning.
Nothing makes a mother prouder than seeing her child growing up. But I know as he learns to lead, he'll face even more dirt, germs, and risk of illness.
That's why in changing seasons, you need strong Dettol protection. Because Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
All right, you're welcome back. And if you've just joined us, it's still Good Morning Nigeria. And now it's time to update you in the world of business as Nigeria's foreign reserves fall to $41.5 billion as at November 21, 2018, with Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele describing it as a marginal loss compared to other emerging markets in view of the U.S. normalization policy. Joy Uze has more details on this and other business news stories.
Thanks for joining us on Business News. Nigeria's foreign reserves fell to $41.53 billion as at November 21, 2018, from $42.6 billion at September 16, 2018. Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele made the revelation in Abuja at the end of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting. The drop in foreign reserves is due largely to capital flow reversal occasioned by shrinking oil prices and normalization policy of the U.S. Fed.
The investors and exporters window, which we introduced in April 2017, what we did with that market is to open the market to say, look, we want to be very transparent and that people should be free to import and export currencies and deal legally and legitimately in their foreign exchange transactions in Nigeria.
The CBN governor noted that improvements in oil and non-oil sectors are expected to continue to drive growth to the end of the year. Meanwhile, experts at a two-day seminar on understanding the interface between cryptocurrency and money laundering say implementation of policies will regulate and prevent the use and abuse of virtual currency, otherwise known as cryptocurrency, as it is suspected to be used by many to launder money. The seminar, championed by the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, PACAC, is part of efforts by various anti-corruption stakeholders to support the present administration's fight against all forms of criminal activities.
Cryptocurrencies global market capitalization currently stands at more than $203 billion as at the end of October 2018. $203 billion as at the end of October 2018. This is an indication that cryptocurrencies may become a major part of the financial system and is currently offering new and exciting opportunities as well as challenges to the industry and regulators.
This seminar is intended to sensitize stakeholders and to consider the development of policy in relation to virtual currencies specifically the preparation of technical guidance on effective legislative, regulatory, and criminal justice responses to virtual currencies and their associated risks.
And it is on that note that we wrap up business news. Many thanks for watching. I'm Joy Uzo.
Thank you very much, Joy Uzo, for the business package. Newspaper review is next.
As always, to give more depth and more insight into our newspaper review is our regular newspaper reviewer, Bayo Atoyebi. Bayo, good morning.
Morning, Luda. Good morning. Good morning, Kinsley. Yeah. Good morning, Nigeria.
Bayo, good to see you. Let's take a look at the front pages of the Daily Trust and the leadership newspapers for our stories. Now, below the nameplate of the Daily Trust newspaper, we have CBN MTN settled $8.1 billion repatriation issue. CBN MTN settled $8.1 billion repatriation issue. Details can be found on page 17. The list story says National Assembly to create 80 universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. Improve what we have first, as who says. That's the writer to that headline. Now, you can see the illustration of that story on the front page also of the Daily Trust newspaper. It says the National Assembly is working to create 80 federal tertiary institutions across the country. 27 of them are universities, 19 are polytechnics, and 22 are colleges of education. Now, others are 6 institutes, 1 police academy, 1 federal college of agriculture, 1 federal college of forestry, 1 paramilitary academy, 1 federal college of veterinary assistance, and another school of mines. So those are the stories with regard to the plan by the National Assembly to create additional federal institutions. By the way, these are still bills going through various processes at the National Assembly. Now, right at the foot of the front page of Daily Trust, Presidency slams Jonathan over claim on corruption and recession. Page 3. And religious leaders demand peaceful and credible 2019 polls. Details can be found on page 3. And Customs intercepts 2 aircraft and 40 containers of tramadol. 40 containers of tramadol and 2 aircrafts in the kitty now by the Customs. Details can be found on page 4.
All right, now let's move over to the Daily Sun. On the Daily Sun, just beside the nameplate, it's there. It says EFCC seals Ekiti buildings allegedly linked to Fire Shea, and there's a response there for Fire Shea. It says, houses not mine, says ex-governor. That's on page 4. And the lead story is offer robbery, Saraki stands indicted, says police. Offer robbery, Saraki stands indicted, says police. Says suspects evidence enough to prosecute Senate President. That's the lead story on the Daily Sun, and it's on page 4. If we come down just below the picture story, there are a couple of headlines there. This one says, Democracy Day bill on June 12 passes second reading and the House of Reps. It's on page 12. And Atiku Amechi clash at public discuss. That's on page 8. And Customs intercept 7.3 billion naira. Tramadol rejects 150 million naira bribe. That's on page 2. A story that has been trending for a couple of days now. It says, vacate Akwa Ibom Assembly, Senate orders police. It's on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Sun. All right, Bayo, let's begin with the lead story on, I think, the Daily Trust that Kingsley read on, of course, like he said, there's still bills, creation of more universities. Is that what we actually need right now?
Yes, there are actually in intention to create about 80 tertiary institutions, and the breakdown is not far-fetched. 27 universities, 22 colleges of education, 19 polytechnics. 37 of such bills are in the Senate, and I think 37 others are in the House of Representatives. And you recall that the Academic Staff Union of Nigeria's universities have been on strike now for the 3rd week running, and one of their grouses for the strike is the inadequate funding and inadequate revenue and infrastructure for university. Where are all these resources going to come from these new universities? The other story is about 6 property that has been, the economic and financial crime has written on it, EFCC keep of property under investigation. These were properties that were alleged to be supposedly belong to the former governor of Ekiti State, Abuja-Lafia. The former governor says that EFCC is going about town sealing properties belonging to innocent individuals arbitrarily. And he says that the graft agency is in a wild goose chase because none of that property belongs to him. Naturally, a news agency reports that the graft agency actually has the permission of the court to still seal those properties. So if he denies that it is not his, whoever the owner is will have to come out to justify that. Now, the other story is about the offer robbery incident, which the House of Rep has set up a committee of justice and human rights and giving them 4 weeks to inquire into circumstances that led to the lead suspect there, Michael Adiku, the former policeman who was indicted among them. The resolution was unanimous on the floor of the House, and the Committee of Justice, Human Rights, and Justice, Human Rights, and to inquire within 4 weeks. The time they are to inquire into the time and circumstances of the death of the suspect, how he died, what the police are covering up, and also unravel if there were human rights abuses and extrajudicial killing. The issue was raised by Honorable Zachary Mohammed, who represents Kayoma constituency, and his concern was that they are concerned that they are raising up the issue, they tarnish the image of some innocent individuals for political purposes. But the concern of the people of Offa is that justice for the 33 persons that were murdered. It will be recalled that on April 5th, 33 persons, including 9 policemen and some pregnant women, were shot in broad daylight at police stations, on the streets, and at the bank. The Offa people are concerned that this is the 4th time in 10 years that such robbery were happening on there, and they want to see that justice is done for the 33 persons murder. But the National Assembly is also concerned about the lead suspect that has died in custody. And police is saying that the death of the lead suspect does not expulgate those who are suspected to be involved in it.
All right, Bayo, let's go over to the Leadership newspaper. Leadership newspaper from top to bottom, how Nigerian army is tackling religious extremism. And money laundering, that's the kicker. CBN reads riot act to banks ahead of 2019. That's 2019 general elections. Presidency knocks Jonathan over corruption claims and says ex-president playing the ostrich. Stop hiding under religion and ethnicity. Sultan tests politicians. Details on the front page there with a jump to page 5. And investors commit $25 million to Kogi Cassava City, page 5.
All right, very quickly, we'll take our editorial for today, and it's on it's on Daily Trust. It's on page 45. Editorial for today is civil servants and political contest. It says the old debate in this country over civil servants' participation in partisan politics was rekindled recently when, at the end of the recent political parties' primaries, many civil servants who had resigned from their jobs to contest the elections tried to go back through their positions in service. The reception they got on their return was mixed. While in some cases civil servants who lost the primaries were able to seamlessly return to their jobs, others were blocked from returning to those jobs. So the question is, was there no uniform rule as to, how people should go about it when they want to contest? Or okay, let's begin with saying, what's the civil service review? Want to go contest elections either at state and federal levels?
For primaries, you can go and contest. If you succeed, then you have to resign 60 days before you can contest as a candidate. And if you go to seek a primaries and you don't succeed, naturally you should be able to come back. But the point that the editorial is raising is the fact that you have political appointees who are occupying executive positions in federal parastatals and other agencies, and they are concerned that their exposure to politics or direct interest in politics will compromise the neutral position of the civil servant, particularly their underlings. That is the concern of the editorial.
All right, Bayo, thank you very much for joining us this morning on The Review.
Thank you for
Thank God
me.
it's Friday.
Yes.
We'll get to see you again on Monday.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we're discussing FCT, the security situation in the FCT. I'm sure you want to get to know, and of course we have other guests. We're talking majorly security today, so stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
What's up?
His friends didn't come.
Hey, let's practice.
But you're going out.
Don't worry about me.
Nothing satisfies a mother more than seeing a child grow up. But I know as he sweats, he'll face the risk of germs which can cause skin irritation.
That's why you need the new best ever Dettol Cool. Its new advanced formulation with extra menthol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs and gives your family icy cool freshness.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
To anyone who ever pushed me to go further.
Come on, one more.
To anyone who ever gave me a hand up. To anyone who ever taught me anything I ever learned. To those who work together to set the bar higher. To those who give me the energy to go further. This is my team, and my team makes me.
Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Chief. Good morning, sir. You are here already?
No, now my spirit day, my body day for house. What kind of question is that? Were you not the one that fixed this meeting for 8 a.m.? You are now coming by 10 a.m. and start asking me job questions.
But Chief, now, I'm sorry. Don't you also go late for meetings sometimes? You know now, African time thing.
No more African time. And no more pancaking of face during office hours. At the end of the day, we will lose valuable time. We will not make progress. If we want to move this nation forward, we must treat business as business and respect time. Change begins with me.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry. Can we go for the meeting now, Chief?
Better.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Brought us as usual.
As usual. You have no problem.
For the three
you are welcome, sir.
As usual, yeah?
You take that one. You take that one. You don't understand? We want Nigerian homegrown rice. Finish. You don't have? You don't have?
Join the rice revolution today.
No other rice that tastes like Nigerian rice. Are you sorry? That's the Nigerian rice we are talking about. Chocolate made in Nigerian rice. Healthy food. I'm going to bring Mrs. Mobu to come to chocolate rice made in Nigeria here. And see how it is made.
Correct.
How they are cooking.
Correct.
Homegrown rice are good for your health. It boosts our economy and give employment to our people.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Team huddle. But we lost. Don't be tired, guys. This isn't a loss. It's a practice for winning.
Nothing makes a mother prouder than seeing her child growing up. But I know as he learns to lead, he'll face even more dirt, germs, and risk of illness.
That's why in changing seasons, you need strong Dettol protection. Because Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
All right, you're welcome back. If you just joined us, it's Good Morning Nigeria. We're live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now, one of the topics that we have for our conversation this morning has to do with the security situation in the Federal Capital Territory. And to set the tone for our conversation this morning, let's listen into comments from some FCT residents who spoke to our correspondent, Aisha Ubali.
If you look at FCT, in terms of security, it has to do more with the parks. And you can see now that there's no employment, people are trying to survive. Some don't even have a place of abode. And if you look at certain areas, the quietness of the road, you get it makes certain place kind of lonely. You get, and if you are not too conversant with this place, you find that you have problems. And if you take a look at this kind of areas, just as the shops are, some may not have accommodation, so the shops becomes their place and abode, and there's no way to scrutinize who is there. So the security thing is there. The only thing is that we just try to create awareness and help people be their brother's keeper. But even then, the fear of not knowing who to talk to. So I don't know. It must to do with more of individual and also the law enforcement agents. If you cannot trust them to give them information, because information you give out might be the biggest trouble you have.
Well, I think gradually it's getting worse, really, and FCT is gradually becoming unsafe. But I think the security agencies need to step up their games. We understand that the environment might not be very enabling, but I think we need to do more. Actually, we need to do more because FCT is a miniature of Nigeria, and then whatever that threatens FCT really is threatening our Nigeria as a whole. So I think more needs to be done, at least to show that Nigeria is secure.
Since I've been in Abuja, I've enjoyed security. Let me say, by God, divine arrangement, I've never been disturbed by any security problem. Where I live in Abuja has been so peaceful. I live in Gwagwalada, and I live in Kaida Road. And by the grace of God, I live in my own house for over 5 years now. I've never had any reason to panic, either community fighting or any religious fighting. So it has been very okay. And I believe the security people are trying in Abuja. I think we have a security. The only thing maybe which I think we are trying to put together as an organization of repairer of fridge is that we are trying to see that all of us have ID card to enter people's house to reduce all this debt that they won't know somebody who come. So all those things also, the AIG with NARAP are putting head together to see how all the handwork, we have a way of having ID card to encourage all handwork people to be in a group, that is an organization, and have ID card so that if you go to any house to do any repair, at least they know that you have ID card, you have a rope. If anything happens, they know where you belong, so they won't be miss of identity.
To me, I would say they are trying, but they are not living up to the expectation, because there are insecurity every day. Hoodlums, they are attacking people. You cross from work, you will be attacked at your home. They will buckle your house, so they should do more. We need them to do more.
Forces in place to improve the security in Abuja. It's really bad at the moment.
In Nigeria, in Abuja, you see, we are trying, but the trying is not enough. You see, because I'm thinking of as if maybe the security is guiding the people that is rich, but the poor people, they don't have security. So they're supposed to, I believe that the poor people need to look for a way to secure themselves.
All right, those were some residents of the Federal Capital Territory speaking to our correspondent Aisha Obali in that background. Well, we have with us in the studios and indeed from our remote network centers guests who discuss this issue. By the way, the guests whom we are taking from outside Abuja, normally our security experts, and they are very familiar with the Federal Capital Territory, of course, working and residing here at some point. First, let's welcome to our studios this morning the Commissioner of Police in charge of the Federal Capital Territory Police Command, that's CP Bala Chiroma. CP, pleasure to have you with us on the program this morning.
My pleasure. Good morning, viewers.
And from our Kaduna Network studios, as I indicated, the security expert, one of our regular analysts, Mohammed Ali. Mohammed Ali, pleasure to have you again on Good Morning Nigeria.
It's my pleasure, Kingsley. Good morning, Nigerians.
And as always, just as Kingsley indicated earlier, some of these guests, we've always had them here in the studio, and our next guest is one of them. He's our in-house security expert. He is Kabiru Adamu. Kabiru Adamu is a security risk management expert. Kabiru, good morning. It's good to have you from Maiduguri this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks a lot. Kabir, it's like you are enjoying the Hamatan in Maiduguri. We haven't seen you in Abuja for a couple of weeks now, so that's fair enough. But let's begin this conversation by getting the views of the Commissioner of Police in charge of the FCT. You listened to the comments of some Nigerians who are resident in the FCT, and indeed there are frequent reports of all kinds of criminal activities taking place in the Federal Capital Territory. There is concern that the situation is probably deteriorating, but you are the cop in charge. What is the situation?
Well, I would like to say the security situation in Abuja is stable. Yes, you have reports, one or two reports, which is normal. We've put in place measures to ensure that maximum security is provided in Abuja. We have deployments, strategic deployments of policemen in areas where we've termed as black spots in uniform. This is to ensure high visibility. We also have deployment of personnel that are not in uniform, that is undercover agents, also in strategic locations, bus stops, and other isolated places where we feel as if criminals are bound to, most likely to strike in. This has helped us in checking the activities of criminals. We also have the ACOS patrol vehicles, as I said, deployed in strategic locations. To beef up security in Abuja, the Inspector General of Police just inaugurated a rapid response squad. Quite a number of vehicles, about 70, who also have been deployed in strategic locations to checkmate activities of hoodlums. As you will notice, when you are going around in the night, we have stop and search points. These stop and search points have been very productive. A lot of vehicles stolen or snatched have been recovered at these stop and search points. Arms, firearms have also been recovered in such during such stop and search. One other thing they might have referred to in the comments is that of one chance. Specifically, we found out that this was a problem. So what we did was a special squad was created to take care of the issue of one chance. So far, so good. That squad has been very successful. About 30 notorious one-chance armed robbers have been arrested. About 15 vehicles have been recovered from them. That is the reason for our containment of that situation.
Well, do we have the benefit of statistics from you with regard to, say, a comparative basis? To say, okay, this is 2018, in 2015 or in 2016 or 2017, this is what we had with regard to muggings, with regard to robberies, with regard to breaking and entry or murders and so on and so forth. And now, in 2018, these are the figures that we're having.
Well, we have that, but the analysis I want to make is maybe around ember months, right? Traditionally, you find out that there's a slight increase in crime. It's traditional. There is the quest for wealth around this time because people want to go back to their villages to celebrate. What we normally do is that there's intensified anti-crime activities around this time to checkmate it. And the figures vary from year to year, just as you observed. That will be made available at appropriate time.
All right. I'd also want to let our viewers know that if you have questions, we have the Commissioner of Police here of the FCT. If you have questions, you have comments, you have, of course, had some experience here in the city, you can tweet at us at our Twitter handle at NTAGMN. And also, just as we indicated earlier, our security experts are people who are very, very familiar with the Federal Capital Territory. Now, let's bring in Kabiru Adamu. Kabiru Adamu, you just listened to the Commissioner of Police of the FCT. Let's get your take on this issue. How would you describe the situation, security situation in Abuja right now?
Yes, I agree with the Commissioner of Police. The security situation in Abuja can be described as stable. However, I would like to add that when we talk of security, crime is not the only issue to consider. One of the greatest challenges of living in Abuja today is the social upheaval, the protest that has become a daily thing to live with. I'm sure you're aware, if you commute on Shehu Shagari Way, as well as Amadu Bello Way, almost on a daily basis, you have one or the other form of protest. And our understanding is that the manner that is being handled and the impact it is having on residents of Abuja is not something that, we're happy with. It can be improved. Another element which the police and the other security agencies are doing very well is terrorism. The last time there was a terrorist attack in Abuja was in 2015. Since then, we haven't seen any terrorist attacks. So yes, that's a commendable effort. The activities of criminal elements, unfortunately in that area, I think there is a need for improvement. I was happy with the question that Kingsley asked regarding statistics. Now, private individuals like myself, we keep a database of incidences. It may not be comprehensive because it's gathered by private individuals, but it's been able to give us an opportunity to understand the hot spots. So you create a heat map, and over a period, you understand clearly where, as an example, opportunistic crime, and for me, that's the major issue in Abuja. A lady closes at work, 9 p.m., she's going home, she goes to Nikon Junction, somebody grabs her bag. A man is walking on a lonely street, making a phone call, and a criminal sees the opportunity, hits him with a whip, an iron, and then grabs his phone. So mainly opportunistic crime. And then the further you go outside the city, I say Abuja has a ring. The bypass is outside the main city. Anything outside that bypass, the further you go, the more these opportunistic crimes, are higher. Then you also have the violent crime, where people are specifically targeted. Sometimes they come, knocking on the door with guns, and then that's burglary, they steal. Or sometimes someone is moving, like we witnessed over the weekend when a politician was assassinated on the Abuja to the airport road. So you have occasionally those type of things. But on the whole, I would say the security in Abuja is stable. One major area that perhaps in the course of our discussion we will pick on is the coordination between the various government, as public security departments, and industrial security practitioners. In that regard, I see a huge gap, and I see areas for improvement. Hopefully, in the course of the discussion, we can look at that.
All right, Kabir Adamu, thank you very much. Let's go over to Mohammed Ali in Kaduna. Mohammed, of course, you'll listen to the other two guests. From your vantage position and experience, what do you see with regard to the security situation in the Federal Capital Territory, particularly, again, as Kabir identified, opportunistic crimes?
The situation in Abuja to date is not as expected. Reason being that the increasing economic desperation in citizens who want to make ends meet has made Abuja very attractive, thereby attracting people from all nooks and crannies of the country. And that apart, we also have the influx of foreigners who have come to clamor all over Abuja. This has, to a large extent, increased tremendously the occurrence of opportunistic crimes and even heinous crimes, because if we have a recourse to the 9th of July this year when 9 policemen were gunned down, and I don't know how far the police have gone in identifying the source of that and who are the masterminds of issues like that. Then there is this issue of the axis of Edu, Derke in Kuje area council, where kidnappers are making a field day. So the police have to sit up and ensure that residents, particularly within the suburbs, actually scrutinized and identified as to who is who, what are they doing, and issues like that. And then there is the issue of the constant protest marches by members of the Shia movement and other groups of disgruntled politicians who are trying to make protests a regular occurrence in the capital city. This, I think, is not palatable, because it will end up giving a bad picture of the capital city. We must be very careful in portraying the image of our capital city. We must not make it to look, to outsiders that Abuja is not safe. If we do that, certainly it will not be in our own best national interest. So care must be taken, and the authorities in the FCT have to do something, and urgently too, to curtail these regular demonstrations or strike actions by members of the Shia movement and other political practitioners. Particularly the Shia movement, I think there is a need to start dialoguing with them, because there are too many strikes, too many demonstrations all over the place, almost on a daily basis. It's not really given a good picture of our national capital, and of course by extension the government itself. So something has to be done, and quickly too.
All right, thank you very, very much. Let's get back now to the Commissioner of Police FCT Command. I know you've listened to Adamu and, of course, our guest there in Kaduna. Let's begin to break them down. One, first of all, the issue of, the constant, protest that we have in Abuja. Really, if you look at it, most times for those of us who live in Abuja, when such things begin to happen, you have people calling you all over the country. It takes those of us who live in the city to know that probably it's not happening where you are, or it's something that is being contained. But how can this be taken care of?
Well,
and of course, people take advantage of it to spread fake news. Once it happens, you have all sorts of information out there, and people become scared.
Well, ours is to regulate processions,
okay,
right? And we're doing that as much as possible. People write to us when we give you permission to embark on procession. We ensure that there's adequate deployment so that your conduct is guided, your activity does not affect the lives of other Nigerians. As much as possible, that is being done. But you cannot guarantee 100% that people will be compliant. But we ensure that we grant permission for processions, and we ensure that we provide adequate guidance for them. In respect of the opportunities, crimes as stated by Kabir from Maiduguri, yes, where we've noticed that these things occur, where these opportunities of offenses occur, crimes occur, we do adequate deployment to checkmate these offenses to prevent hoodlums from attacking innocent individuals. This has borne fruit. If you go around the town, you find out that places like Bega Junction, Area 1, around the National Mosque, around the National Hospital are adequately taken care of.
Personally, I don't know, but I feel that, you know, the number of security agencies you have, and especially Bega Junction, is not enough. Because a lot of times you find them just under the bridge. And you have a large population of people on the other side where you're going to Maraba, those who are also going to Kubwa. Look, but that's another axis. Yes, there's security operatives there, but most times you just find them under the bridge with their van. And so you see influx of people, you know, as ladies or men try to, you know, get back home after a day's work. You see people snatching phones, snatching bags in the process of trying to enter into
and don't forget the fact
vehicles.
that I told you that we have deployment both in uniform and undercover agents. So those that you see maybe are the ones that are in uniform, but there are others that are operating within the same vicinity that are acting as deterrent to these hoodlums.
Well, it's possible, CP Chiroma, as some persons have said, that you have underreporting of these crimes that have been committed by persons, particularly with regard to some of the opportunistic offenses that we have seen in and around the federal capital. Some of the areas you just ticked off now, which are the so-called black spots, areas around the National Mosque, Area 1 itself, National Hospital, and under the bridge at Mabushi.
Just by the National Mosque here,
the central business area. That's between the Central Bank and Sedi Plaza. You know, those are all areas where persons have been mugged. Airport Road Junction. These are places where persons have been mugged. You talked about the deployment of men and how you have achieved some success, but persons are also concerned. Do the CCTVs in Abuja still work? And if so, what is being done? If not, what is being done to ensure that they are working?
The issue of CCTVs in Abuja, the CCTVs actually don't work, but I'm sure that's been addressed by government. My concern is to make use of what I have. And we've made adequate deployments around these particular areas. We've been able to contain, bring it to the barest minimum. You can't say you've eliminated these issues 100%, but we brought it to the barest minimum, and residents are going about their lawful businesses unmolested around these areas.
Are you aware that there's a rise in, you know, influx? We have people, especially Okada riders, coming back into the city. For example, go to Jabi area, go to Airport Junction area, as if you're going to Galadima area.
That is why there's a ministerial task force which I chair, specifically to check the activities of tricycle riders and motorcyclists. We're out every day checkmating them. Arrests have been made. We've had clashes with them. A lot of them have been arrested and are being prosecuted.
What is your response to the comment that the many informal settlements around the city, as well as satellite towns, are largely under-policed, if not unpoliced at all? And this is where some of these criminal elements, you know, go to seek refuge, and from there they come to town, you know, to strike or also operate within those informal settlements.
And then they get back to those.
Those areas are not under police. If you talk about Gwagwalada, Kuje, so on and so forth, there are police divisions there. Some of them have area command offices. Constant policing is taking place in these areas. We organize programs, raids in such areas from the city here. We go there, assist them, mop up the place, clean up the place, and ensure that security is stabilized within such localities.
Okay, well, let's return to Maiduguri. Kabir Adamu, again, you listened to the responses of the CP to some of the questions that we asked, for instance, with regard to additional security aids or gadgets such as CCTVs, which obviously, as he said, are not working, and there will be a limitation to how many eyes the police officers could have on the beat. Plus, the under-policing or lack of policing in informal settlements. There are concerns that some of these informal settlements are probably sleeper cells for some terror groups or persons who have been dislodged from Sambisa. What are your thoughts?
Yes, I agree totally with that comment. There are what I would call black spots that are totally unpoliced. But by this statement, I am not quote-unquote blaming the police for that situation. The reality is that our national security architecture is state-centric, and that means, of course, attention and priority is given to the city more than the locations outside the city, the perimeter. Having said that, it is not only the responsibility of the police to maintain law and order. There are other organizations within the security infrastructure. An example is the Civil Defense Corps. The military is also playing some elements of that role. So to put the Commissioner of Police for the FCT on the spot on that, I think would be a bit unfair. However, the police has a greater responsibility, being the primary agency for security within the civilian population. What I would expect, frankly, is a coordinated response to these challenges. We are aware that the number of police personnel is frankly not enough. And then if you take into consideration that the infrastructure, the national infrastructure, give prominence to the protection of the city center, then the question is, what can the police do within that circumstance to engage the other agencies and work together as a team to ensure security for every resident of the city, whether he's living inside Abuja, the cycle that I mentioned, or outside that cycle. In this regard, I think the Minister of the FCT has a role to play. In the coordination function that he provides. I know that there is regular meetings between all of these agencies, and then of course funding is an issue. But the big elephant, in the room is technology. And I'm happy that we talked about the CCTVs that are not functioning. That's a totally, different discussion. About $470 million US contract was awarded. The infrastructure was installed, and then unfortunately, I think no one really knows what happened, but that infrastructure never functioned. You cannot have a big city like Abuja without a CCTV system in place with a functional monitoring room that would help the police in terms of their deployment and response to crime when they happen. So that's the #1 challenge. Technology is not adequate for the circumstances that Abuja has found itself. The other major challenge that I see as far as the police response to crime or security situation in Abuja is communication. Given this low number of police personnel that we have, one element that would have helped the police in terms of responding to insecurity challenges would be adequate communication, so that if you have rapid response situations and residents are able to communicate quickly to the police, then the police can deploy. Not many of us, including myself, have the capacity, despite the fact that I've been in security for a very long time, to call the police and then you have speedy response to security situations. In the comments by residents that you anchored in the program, they mentioned that the element of communication is there, the element of trust between residents and the security agencies is there. So all of this, unfortunately, is not helping our situation. I can talk about what we call crime prevention through environmental design, where you create buildings to assist residents in ensuring better security, so that your window, for instance, is placed in a position where you can see the gate of your house. Anyone coming in, you can immediately call for response or rescue, or where you group business owners together to ensure better protection of their assets within that building. So there are lots of elements that, frankly, I haven't seen within the security infrastructure in Abuja. And by saying this, I want to repeat this, I'm not putting the blame on the police. Security infrastructure involved all the agencies within the security department. The intelligence component, which is being handled more or less by the DSS, the department, as well as to an extent the police. The CP mentioned several times that there are plainclothes policemen out on the street. They play an intelligence role. I don't see a fusion of intelligence between the security agencies. President Buhari has given that directive that an intelligence fusion center should be set up in Abuja. Yes, I think there is one, but is it functioning? If it's functioning, how come we're not seeing the sharing of intelligence? How come within the private security element, we are not seeing a harnessing of intelligence? There is no house that you go to, including the NTA studio, that you would not see private security guards deployed there. How is the Ministry of Interior harnessing the intelligence from these private security guards? I don't think currently we're doing enough in that regard. So there is a lot that can be done, and fortunately there are experts both within public security and then within private security that is willing and happy to help in that regard. But unfortunately, like I said, I think the Minister of the FCT needs to harness these resources that are available to him and then use it better.
Okay, Kabir Adamo, thank you very much. Let's return to Muhammad Ali in Kaduna. Muhammad Ali, let's again sketch the experience of some FCT residents, particularly in the city and more so in the informal settlements as well as satellite towns. In the early hours of the day, and then of course at nightfall, some persons have apprehension with regard to the so-called black spots. And you have apparently so many loafers. What can be done with regard to what the police or the security agencies can do at those hours when people are more vulnerable and when these potential criminals are more likely to strike?
The first thing to do, Mr. Kingsley, is to improve on the number of personnel operating within the FCT. As things are presently, the number of police operatives, both uniform and undercover agents, are grossly inadequate to police Abuja and its satellite settlements. So for that reason, there is a need to improve on the number and also co-opt informal security actors into the business of policing Abuja and its satellite towns. That way we'll be able to curtail and take care of the black spots that have been identified, and also ensure that security is provided to the maximum in all satellite locations within and outside Abuja itself. And the police have to also have in confidence residents in satellite towns, and of course particularly the traditional and religious leaders of satellite areas should have a constant communication with the office of CP Churoma, so that they will keep him afoot with happenings, constant daily happenings in their domains. That way we'll be able to reduce to the BRS minimum some of the incidences, particularly the issue of crime. But where there is no liaison between leaders of those satellite communities, be it political or religious leaders, and the police, certainly will continue to have problems like that. And as you earlier mentioned, some of these satellite towns, if not properly policed, could serve as a hiding place for criminals, particularly people who are on the run from Sambisa forest can come there to take refuge. So there is the need more than ever before to ensure that at least some police outposts are created in some of these areas, and the work should not be left alone to the police. Members of the civil defense should come in, and the Honorable Minister for Interior should also inject some sense of direction in the immigration service, because there is every likelihood that our aliens control measure has been bastardized. Hence, the coming in of aliens from all over Niger, Chad, Cameroon, to come in here create problems for us. So there is the need to ensure that the aliens control measure put in place is actually working, and there should be coordination between the immigration service, the civil defense, and the police, particularly in the FCT, because the FCT, the police in the FCT are not actually adequate to do the policing work alone. It has to be a coordinated activity in order to succeed.
Okay. Muhammad Ali, thank you very much. As we indicated earlier, some of our viewers have sent in their reactions, and these have come in by way of tweets through our Twitter handle, and you can see that on the screen there at NTAGMA. We'll take some of those tweets now and then return to the guests.
And the very first one is from Fidel Adi. It says, what is the police doing to curtail the regular killings of their colleagues in Abuja? What is the police doing to curtail the regular killings of their colleagues in Abuja?
All right. Ido Davis Juwon tweets, now there is need for improvement of security, especially within the FCT metropolis. Now, in order to eradicate the menace of crime, especially during this season, there should be a coordinated improvement on the security architecture.
This one says, Sani Michael Omakaji tweets, says, the security situation in Abuja has become a source of concern to many of us, as one can no longer walk freely at night with phones and handbags. The population of these migrants are daily on the rise without official check from the authority, and this is not a good image for us.
Joel Femi tweets, now the issue of security cannot be exhausted. Compulsory tax payment by commuters on the road should be scrapped or reduced, as officers are merely concerned about tax, not the proper search. That tax there, of course, is not the formal tax, it's extortion.
And Abdul Musa tweets, he says, the menace of car theft, one-chance criminals and petty thieves is on the increase. There is much improvement in tackling the issue of terrorism, which we have witnessed before 2015. But security agencies must not relax.
All right, Adam Abdullahi tweets, our security agencies, both the police and the army, need serious reinformation in terms of both training and getting the required tools to fight criminals because of the situation that we face.
And Dele Jack Solomon tweets, he says, given the current socio-political and economic challenges in the country, we'll be compounding our problems if the nation's capital city is not safe. That is not the kind of signal we should be sending to the world at such times. There is an urgent need for this to be tackled.
All right, there's one tweet coming again from Sani Michael Omakoji, and it's a question directed to the Commissioner of Police. And he writes, Commissioner, are you not aware that these miscreants are snatching bags and phones, and they are doing this in business areas in Abuja, and that they operate freely? And if you are aware, who amongst them have been brought to face the full wrath of the law? Nigerians are interested in your response, please.
Adam Abdullahi tweet says, honestly, if the government and police couldn't find an effective way to contain this constant protest by different sectors from the Shia to other groups, it will surely develop and lead to a huge problem. We all know this is how Boko Haram started.
All right, those are some of the tweets that we want to take in the meantime. Honorable Commissioner of Police, Commissioner of Police, you heard one of the tweets there. I want to respond to them.
Yes, I would.
Very quickly.
There are two issues that are raised by our security experts that I want to address, that of communication. With open channels of communication with members of the public, we have hotlines where they can call in case they want to report issues. The numbers are there, I'll provide them at the end of the day. But we've been able to unify them into a single digit, that is 112. 112 is a call center number. Once you get there, they'll pass the calls to us. And response time so far, from what we have, is just about 15 minutes. And we're trying to improve on that. Because, as I said, We've been able to deploy vehicles all over the town, and the purpose of their deployment is to prevent crimes at the scene and also be able to react in case there are distress calls that come in. The second issue is that of getting in touch with the communities. Yes, we realize that security essentially is everybody's business. And therefore, we've deliberately reached out to people to hold town hall meetings with a view to synergizing with them and ensuring that we provide, assess what their problems are security-wise and provide solutions to these problems. So you find us moving out to Abaji, Kwali, Gwagwalada, and some other areas to meet the traditional rulers and other members of the society, get feedback from them, strategize, and ensure adequate deployment is done to take care of the situation. What are you doing
about the issue of car theft?
Car theft, as I told you, car theft, we have a special section taking care of car theft. And I told you earlier on that our stop and search points have been very productive in the sense that a lot of stolen cars are intercepted by these stop and search points. Also, weapons are recovered from hoodlums during this process of stop and search. Yeah, it may be some form of inconvenience for members of the residents, but they are yielding fruits. These are security measures that are necessary to ensure that Abuja is well policed.
Okay, Commissioner of Police.
There was a question that was raised by somebody with regards to bag snatching. We have, of recent, paraded a lot of bag snatchers and phone snatchers that have been arrested. They've been arraigned in court. Statistics are there, and there is evidence of that. We'll continue. It's not something that you say, you look at a crime, you say you don't want this crime completely. It's not a market, it's not an item on the shelf of a supermarket. We try to bring it to the barest minimum. And whenever we receive complaints, we're able to analyze and ensure that we take care of areas that have become, it's dynamic. When we block this particular place, criminals also move on to other areas. So you all have to be planning based on whatever feedback you get from members of the public.
All right, Commissioner of Police in charge of the Federal Capital Territory Command, that's Bala Chiroma, would like to thank you for being with us on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Thank you very much.
We also would like to thank our two other guests who are regular security analysts on Good Morning Nigeria. Muhammad Ali from Kaduna, thanks a lot for being with us on the program this morning.
Mr. Kingsley.
And our appreciation to Kabir Adamu from Meduguri Network Center. Kabir, thanks a lot and enjoy your weekend.
You too.
All right, it's Good Morning Nigeria. We'll take a short break now. When we return, of course, we'll be dealing with foreign policy and national security.
United States Open champion Naomi Osaka.
Chira looking much more promising in the second half. Rebel Musa!
Stability does the rest. Look at this. What a finish that is.
A very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on another edition of Sports Update. My name is Godwin Enak, and as usual, the show is brought to you by Dabo Squeeze Back.
Auntie, please, where is my toothpaste sachet? Whoa, it's heavy. It even has a cap. I love it. Auntie, thank you.
Manala, how far can your squeeze go?
It keeps going on and on and on. The new Double Herbal Squeezy Pack keeps going on and on and on. Just for 50 naira. Try them.
Welcome back. Yes, we take you straight to the ever-busy world of sport. What is trending is what is up next. From the news segment, we're taking you to the camp of the Super Falcons of Nigeria. If you don't know, we're talking about the senior women's team of Nigeria. They are in Ghana for the African Women Championship. Yes, we are the defending champions. We didn't start very well, of course. That is no longer news. We lost 1-0 to South Africa, but we bounced back against the Zambians, and we spanked them by 4 goals to nothing. This was how it all happened.
Anyende
Get to Odega, Nigeria with opportunity. Opranozie! I see Sedoshola again, waiting for the ball here. Opranozie! Off the side post, comes back to Odega! Rashidat! Oh, that is amazing! Another ball down to the far side again. It's been pushed back by Nali. It's still Nigeria looking for a goal! They got the fourth goal! Simply Okoronkwo! Nigeria 4, Zambia 0.
Up next, we have the team from Equatorial Guinea. Their first 2 games, they conceded as many as 11 goals. Yes, against Nigeria, we might just spell Equatorial Guinea, and that will be tomorrow in Ghana. Let's leave our women and talk about European football. Yes, the #1 team in the world of football for men, they are from Belgium. Yes, led by Eden Hazard of Chelsea Football Club. There's a European Nations League for the big boys, and they needed this game to qualify. Unfortunately, like I always tell you, football is like biscuit. No one can tell where it will crack. They went to Switzerland. The Swiss were condemned to also winning or getting a draw. But this was what happened. It was very, very dramatic.
Second international goal for Belgium. A move started by his brother.
Well, I was just talking about Borussia Mönchengladbach. Some positives and some negatives about my comment, because you'd like to think that Nico Elvedi and Jan Sommer would know each other a little bit. A very, very good team. Maybe not the level of talent of Belgium.
It's Hazard! Against Real Madrid's Thibaut Courtois. Back for Rodriguez to try the diagonal again. Shaqiri's a great header! Arriving in the box. Edmilson Fernandez pulls it back instead! Brilliant strike! Instant hit! It's the next edition. They'll be in League B. Oh, but Switzerland have their 4th of the night by Shaqiri. And there's a header, and that is all she wrote. What a comeback! 5 goals in Lucerne.
Auntie, please, where is my toothpaste sachet? Whoa. It's heavy. It even has a cap. I love it. Auntie, thank you.
Manala, how far can your squeeze go?
It keeps going on and on and on.
The new double Harbour squeezy pack keeps going on and on and on. Just for 50 naira. Try them.
It is only when the Giants go to sleep that the Minos will ruffle some shoulders. The Belgians did not qualify after losing this game, but they are still the #1 football playing nation in the world. That's about the sense of a package. It's been Sport Update brought to you ably by Double Squeezy Pack. My name is Godwin Inakala. Join us same time next week. Always remember to pray for Nigeria. God bless Nigeria.
All right, you're welcome back. It's still Good Morning Nigeria, and earlier on we indicated that we have 2 items for discussion, and the second one now is on foreign policy and national security. We have our guests here who have joined us in the studio. First of all, I'd like to introduce Ambassador Suleiman Dahiru. He's a retired career diplomat. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for...
And also, we're being joined by Ambassador Folorunsho Otukoya. He's also a retired career diplomat. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And finally, we would love to introduce Dr. Naimeka Okereke. He's the head Department of Area and Regional Studies at the National Defense College. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, viewers.
All right. Gentlemen, the topic appears straightforward, but obviously there's a lot of depth with regard to the nexus between foreign policy and national security. Let's begin with the retired ambassadors to tell us what that is, because you've been on the field, beginning, of course, with Ambassador Dahiru Suleiman.
Yes, the topic says national foreign policy and national security. Strictly speaking, the two go together. When you are involved with foreign policy issues, you also have to look at the security implication of the foreign policy you are pursuing. But what I am made to understand is that we are talking about our neighbors. If we are talking about our neighbors, I will say that Nigeria has maintained very good relationship with all our neighbors. And we have maintained good relationship with them because it is in our own national interest. Like when we had our civil war, our neighbors, with the exception of Equatorial Guinea, supported Nigeria. When the Boko Haram situation started, our neighbors came in. And in fact, immediately he was inaugurated, President Buhari visited all our neighbors. And he visited them deliberately because we needed them to confront Boko Haram. And they have been of tremendous help. If they didn't help, they too would have been badly affected because places like Cameroon, Chad, and Niger would have been terribly affected, but they cooperated. And that is why Boko Haram has not been completely eliminated, but it has been degraded to the extent that it is only the guerrilla tactic of running to attack and run away. They are not occupying any territory in Nigeria anymore. So that is the brief thing that I can say.
All right, thank you, Ambassador Suleiman. Let's get the perspective of Ambassador Tukoya.
Thank you. As you all know, we've always said foreign policy is a progression of domestic policy. And what is domestic policy? It centers around the issue of security, maintenance of national integrity, and the candid nature of the relationship you have with your neighbors. As Ambassador said earlier, Nigerians may be wondering, why are we friendly with Ghana if Ghana is every day sending our traders back home? But that is what they see. But there is a deeper relationship that transcends that occasional kind of irritation. So the purpose of our discourse is to fashion out a way to strengthen relationships, at the same time get the understanding of our citizens, so that when the government does something, people do not say, what is the essence of this? So we are set out to fine-tune the articles of relationship with our neighbors. And if you watched the television about 2 days ago, the Chief of Army Air Staff was talking of now Nigeria airplanes can take off from Niger Republic to bomb the Boko Haram locations in Borno State and other areas. That is an essence of good relationship with neighbors. Thank you.
Dr. Naimeka Okereke, let's get your thoughts on this.
All right. In a nutshell, I would say that a country's security boundaries naturally transcends our geographical boundaries. Having this in mind, you find out that having cordial relationship with our neighbors is in our own best interest. However, you find out that also in the conduct of our foreign policy, there are issues of reciprocity, in the sense that if we have this issue of policy for choice to our neighbor, and somewhere along the line, they tend to go contrary to expectation. By reciprocity, we may have to also reconsider. And if you check the trend in our foreign policy since independence, it has happened. If you go back to the Nigerian Civil War, at a time that in Benin Republic, Zinzo tried to allow Red Cross use our territory to lift to aid to Biafra. It wasn't well received by Nigeria. Even the silence of Zinzo administration at a point between 1967 and 68, to a reasonable extent, had Nigeria reciprocate after the Civil War, when mercenaries after Zinu was ousted, mercenaries tried to invade the Republic. We maintain some element of silence also. So, while we expect that we should be open, try to embrace them, we should also be there to put a sledgehammer when the need arises.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Nemeka Okiriki. Let's get back to Ambassador Dahiru. I'm aware that there's a roundtable discussion for next week. I'd like to find out what is it all about? What would be the key issues that would be discussed in this roundtable discussion?
You see, there are many issues involved. When we talk of national security, it involves the security of the country itself. It involves the economic security of the country. It involves the political security of the country. It involves virtually everything. We are talking of the nation. Everything about the nation, we are saying it has security implication. If it has security implication, then we have to make sure that this security issue is given prominent place in our activities. But we are talking of foreign policy and national security. As I said, you cannot divorce the two. They go hand in hand. So, when you go out in pursuit of your foreign policy, you have to ask yourself, am I safe in what I am doing? Because as they say, domestic policy affects foreign policy. If you have a weak domestic situation, it affects your ability to conduct your foreign policy effectively. Therefore, if we want to secure our place, our foreign policy must be geared towards making sure that we are secure. And that is why it is important for any country, not only Nigeria, for any country, to be on good terms with its neighbors. Because eventually they will need those neighbors. If they don't need, they will complicate issues back home. If you look at what is happening around the world, you will discover that those countries that have had bad relationship with each other, there's a spillover. And it is this spillover that you are trying to stop.
All right, Ambassador Suleiman, thank you very much. Ambassador Tukoya, I mean, it's virtually taken for granted that Nigeria has good relations with our neighbors, immediate neighbors. We're talking about Benin Republic, Niger, Chad, and Cameroon. But of course, by the time you cousin it further afield, you also find that we have good relations with the other countries. So what, therefore, is a necessity for seeking to interrogate, again, the connection between foreign policy and national security as though we're in a crisis situation?
Thank you. You don't have to wait for a crisis before you calibrate your foreign policy and national security setup. You are aware that there's problem in Cameroon, Western Cameroon, of a people agitating for independence, Ambazonia. What should Nigeria do? Should we support the secessionists or should we support the central government of Cameroon? So we must decide, because we cannot remain aloof, because there is spillover. Presently, you have over 40,000 Cameroonian refugees in Nigeria. So do you hand them over back to the Cameroonian government, or do you trigger a mechanism that could lead to a resolution of the national problem in Cameroon? The same goes for Chad. The recession of the Lake Chad has created a lot of security issues. In fact, some claim that the Boko Haram and the constant cattle rustling is a function of the the shrinking of the Lake Chad, because the people are now taking up their former means of livelihood. So what should be our relation with Chad? Should we allow Chadians now to invade Borno State until they take over before we say, okay, now we have a problem? So you have to be foresighted, and reviewing foreign policy and nationalism should be a constant factor in the life of a nation, because every day we are challenged newly by new things. So our own objective is to brainstorm, come out with new policy guidelines, and then that government can use in deciding how to proceed from here. At independence, we adopted the policy of non-intervention, non-violability of the inherited colonial boundaries. But you agree with me that times have changed. Now you should be able to engage in hot pursuit. If the Boko Haram comes to attack you and then run back to Chad or to Niger, and you say, okay, non-interference, non-inviolability, then what do you tell your people? So you must be able to assure the citizens that this government or the government that they have is capable of taking care of their security, at the same time being in good relations with neighbors. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's return to Dr. Nemeka Okereke. Dr. Nemeka Okereke, of course, by the time you elaborate on national security, you'll find that the components of it are indeed many, including, in this instance, of talking about access, for instance, to global sources of credible intelligence. You're also talking about, usable equipment purchase, and so on and so forth. Now, how attuned is our foreign policy to these other dimensions of national security? Some years ago, we had this embarrassment of South Africa seizing Nigeria's money that was taken off an aircraft for the purchase of arms and ammunition to fight Boko Haram. I'm not sure what the outcome has been in terms of the diplomatic engagements to ensure that South Africa refunded the money. So how well attuned, from your perspective, is our foreign policy to these other wider dimensions of national security?
Well, interesting. You find out that if you look at it's from our constitution, you find out definition of our national and immediate neighbors is vast. It's not just those countries that share contiguous border with Nigeria. By extrapolation, there's this need for increasing sensitivities to things in the scope I will call our sphere of influence. South Africa trying to intercept money we shifted to use and can procure money in a time of urgent need is an indication that there is a vacuum. That either we are not adequately, exercising all the elements of our national power. Bearing in mind the historical background of our engagement with South Africa. So if South Africa could come at that point in time, we should go back to ask ourselves some question. How did things get to this level? And that draws our attention to, I'm also very, very cautious, good neighborliness. Part of the thinking in this roundtable is, what is the limit of good neighborliness? In the sense, back to reciprocity. We had expected that South Africa, we invested enormous to see the end of apartheid. Will understand the security challenges Nigeria had at that point in time in 2014. That was not to come. So it's an indication that the kind of, either we are not adequately maximizing our potentials as a regional hegemon in Africa to make otherwise friendly nation to come to our aid or our support at that point in time. So it's a food for thought. And these are some of the things that, facts that are unfolding that makes it necessary for us to actually interrogate some of these things. Is South Africa under some major external influence, making it to take such action? These are some of the issues we want to unfold. What is their own view with regards to Nigeria? Because if you look at our engagement in Libya, we are not on the same level with South Africa during the Gaddafi crisis. If you also look at the engagement in Côte d'Ivoire during the Ivorian crisis, we're not also on the same level. As South Africa left its own Southern African region to come into West Africa, deploying the frigates. So this speaks that even in our own sphere of influence, that there are some encroachments which we should put up adequate measures to respond to.
All right, thank you very much.
I'm just wondering, Rhoda, I just want to ask the two diplomats to take a look at. There are practical issues with regard to foreign policy in action and national security matters. We saw, for instance, during the previous administration, both in the U.S. and in Nigeria, President Obama in the U.S. and President Goodluck Jonathan in Nigeria. The U.S., of course, under Obama, refused, to sell certain kinds of military hardware to Nigeria to fight Boko Haram. Now, it wasn't until, for instance, the advent of President Muhammadu Buhari that President Trump now has accepted to sell some Tucano aircraft to the Nigerian military. What was the content of our foreign policy engagement that changed, that also now warranted a reversal of disposition by the U.S., which all along has often claimed that it has good relations, healthy relations with Nigeria?
I think we have to be very careful when we are discussing this issue. First, let me talk about South Africa. Every country has its own laws regarding importation and exportation of foreign currency. What we did, strictly speaking, was not right. There are diplomatic channels to follow to procure arms from South Africa. That we did not do. We just took a plane, ferried the amount of money, and South Africa impounded it. It was within their right to do what they did, irrespective of whether we had good relationship with them or not. Law is law. Regarding Obama in America, yes, they didn't want to sell arms to Nigeria because of alleged violation of human rights. And they brought in the Leahy, Act or whatever it was, resolution, that any country that violates human rights should not buy arms from the United States. But then we got a new government. The allegation was against the previous government. It was not against the government that just took over. So they felt that the current government is ready to protect human rights, and therefore they could go ahead. But then there's one thing about the politics in the United States that people have to understand. The Democratic Party, when it is in power, it talks about human rights. It talks about democracy. But when the Republican Party is in power, it is all about money. And that is why they are ready to do whatever they want to do. We are seeing with what is happening between the United States and the U.S. Congress and Saudi Arabia regarding the $110 billion worth of arms that Saudi Arabia has asked to buy from the United States. Donald Trump is arguing that America should not lose that money. But the long and short of it is that there's always a difference between what the Democratic Party in power will do than when the Republican Party is in power.
Ambassador Suleiman, thanks a lot, but I'd still like to ask Ambassador Tukoya that same question, and then to say whether our own foreign policy should merely be reactive to the party in office, in power in the U.S. If the Democratic Party, as Ambassador Suleiman says, more concerned about human rights and such other democratic tenets versus the U.S., versus the Republican Party, whose priorities are not exactly the same as those of the Democratic Party.
Thank you. The real fact is that a combination of factors have led to the change in policy of the United States going towards the Nigerian government. We all know that the Republican Party is a capitalist-oriented ideological party. Whenever the Republican is in power, they are interested in war armaments, the development of the military complex, and creation of jobs, because that is why and what we guarantee people's welfare and wealth. For Nigeria, by not selling arms to us has nothing to do with whether our relationship with America is reactive or proactive. It has to do with what Dairo said, as the ideology of that country and the personality of the fellow in power. Donald Trump has said it clearly that he wants to sell. If you look at the issue of the Khashoggi matter, he is still saying that that should not let us lose this big contract, because the big contract will make the industry to work maximally, it will create jobs, and majority of Americans will be happy. But that does not mean that crime has not been committed. The abuse of human rights that the former U.S. government was using against Nigeria is still there. But this new government wants to sell what it is producing. So for Nigeria, we must make our options clear. If A is not selling to us, we go to B. If B is not selling, we go to C. And that is why China is becoming popular all over the world, because China does not care what you are doing in your country. They only want to get to you what they want to get to you.
All right, Ambassador Folorunsho Otukoya, your roundtable discussion is when next week?
On Tuesday.
On Tuesday?
Yes, 27th of November.
All right, we hope you have a very wonderful and fruitful deliberation.
Thank you.
All right, it's on that note we want to thank all of our guests who have joined us on this discussion. That's foreign policy and national security. We'd love to thank, first of all, Nigeria's former ambassador. That's Ambassador Suleiman Dahiru, who's a retired career diplomat. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And also Ambassador Folorunsho Olukayode Otukoya. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. And finally, Dr. Nna Meka Okereke, Head of Department and Area Regional Studies at the National Defense College. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a break now. When we come back, our complimentary segments.
Otego Isakwa Beje. I'm from Delta State Company. At that 2005, the company was privatized. Those that were working, that were caught up with the privatization, were laid off. No arrangement for the payment of anything. They were denied their pension rights. So in 2005 through 2017, we have been struggling how we can be put back on pension. We staged a lot of demonstrations, under the rain, under the sun. The government, the sufferings we're going through, the loss of human dignity and no hope for livelihood from July 31st, 2018. The monthly pensions start coming to the pensioners. We also want to be very, very thankful to President Muhammadu Buhari. He's God sent.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service. Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something.
Nigeria, unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
All right, welcome back. First is our entertainment news, as a call has been made by filmmakers in Nollywood to curb the high rate of divorce cases in Nigeria. They made the plea at the movie premiere that's Nowhere to Hide in Abuja. Ngozi Chude tells us more on arts and entertainment.
It is an ensemble of stars from Nollywood, a convergence that speaks to a purpose: divorce. Available statistics indicates an increase in the rate of divorce cases in Nigeria, which is becoming quite alarming. Therefore, filmmakers have decided not just to entertain, but to as well beam their cameras on some societal issues in the society. With themes on marriage, patience, trust and forgiveness, Nowhere to Hide x-rays some of the avoidable causes that is related to divorce, especially in the area of communication.
I and my co-producer, we sat and think and thought, like, what's the issue of this divorce of a thing? The divorce rate is too much. So we now decided to produce a film about, it might be these small issues that pile up, you know, that got such things. We talked about 2 to 3 people who got divorced, and when they told you the issues of the reason why they got divorced, is something that is not up to that. But because they don't talk, they don't communicate, so it piles up and leads to something that you can't expect.
President Actors Guild of Nigeria, Abuja chapter, is at the forefront of raising the banner of change.
They say charity begins at home. If the family setting is destroyed, the entire society is destroyed. Everything that you become tomorrow begins from home. Okay? So I sat and I said, let me do a family film. So I decided to shoot Nowhere to Hide, where is a story that talks about patience, confidence, trust, the essence of communication in marriage, and forgiveness. If you understand that wherever you are, you must encounter these things. Even in your office place, you will encounter these things. You will have issues with somebody that you needed to forgive. Communication is important.
Nowhere to Hide was shot in Abuja, parading stars in the Nollywood industry.
A wonderful movie. It's a movie that will tell you about how you are to protect your family and protect your marriage. A little mistake, just a little mistake, can destabilize your marriage.
Well, it has so many messages. Messages like you need to let go of what you can have.
The story has to curtail some kind of wrong deeds and has to encourage people to believe in themselves and to stand for themselves. That is why the name is Nowhere to Hide.
Shooting, being on set is actually fun. And I really loved the movie and the setting and everything. I don't really have much to say, but it was fun, it was interesting.
All right, that report on Arts and Entertainment was by Serafina Okon. Let's go over now to the Meteorological Agency for the weather outlook for the rest of today.
Glad to have you join us on the weather forecast from Nigerian Meteorological Agency. I am Ohego Amarachi. The atmosphere has been quite dry and sunny, especially over the northern part of the country, and this is expected to persist. Hence, it is advisable to take lots of water, stay in a well-ventilated environment, and also wear light clothing. For Friday, the weather over the north is expected to be sunny and dry, while the central down to the southern part of the country should be sunny with patches of cloud. As we progress into the afternoon and evening hours, we do not expect much variation in weather conditions across the country. However, there are chances of scattered thunderstorm activities over the southeast inland down to the coastal region. Next is the temperature forecast. Please stay tuned. Thanks for watching.
And that's how it's been on Good Morning Nigeria for this week. I do hope that you enjoyed the program. We'll be back again Monday morning. Thank you so much for watching, and we do hope you enjoy your weekend. I'm Rhoda Anonam.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join Rhoda in thanking you for being with us on the program today. Enjoy your day, and also have a lovely weekend ahead.